Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast. Court is back in session, and we've got an incredible case for you today as we argue the age-old debate of which is better, controller or mouse and keyboard. But first, some introductions are in order. I am your host, Josh, and joining me, he's the guy that plays everything with a controller, including navigating the internet. It's Ryan.
I was not expecting to navigate the internet. That's a pretty solid one. I do play everything other than, I think, Diablo on a controller.
Really?
Yeah.
Thanks for that tidbit of information I'm going to bring up here in a little bit, Ryan.
Yep.
Oh, you've given away too much already. And presiding over the fighting, I mean the debate today, it's the honorable and just, without a hint of bias, since he just got a PC, and I'm sure he won't be partial to controllers or rule based only on his recent past history, with how much he loves walking and gaming, or how he just now got into PC gaming, and probably isn't 100% used to mouse and keyboard yet, but I'm sure he'll make a fair and impartial decision in this case. It's Judge John.
Thank you, counsel. Thank you for using my entire proper set of honorifics there. I will request no less than that from opposing counsel. I have to say, it's very timely that Councilman Ryan mentioned his experience using keyboard and mouse with Diablo, because I believe up until today, that was my last experience using keyboard and mouse was Diablo 1.
No, I'm gonna lose.
Hey, buckle up, buddy.
I'm gonna lose. All right, well, listen, number one, welcome in everybody to another episode of Game Court. Guys, we're having a blast with this,
dude,
man.
we gotta have like some sort of sounder drop that we can put in for Game Court 2 when it's like dun dun dun.
I'm gonna get the People's Court.
Okay.
I'm just gonna be the dun dun dun.
Yeah.
You know, just that. It'll probably avoid all the copyright filters if it's under like 5 seconds or something like that. But
there you go.
We got to set the tone here, people.
Yep, love it.
So today this is going to be a fun one because I mean, one of the fun things is to argue what you believe, you know, like to say, hey man, I firmly stand on this ground and I will defend it. And it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes we have a debate and it's like, okay, well, I could see both sides of this, you know, and so which side do you want to debate? We even had somebody, I think it was Glitterpuff, a member of our community, that was like, I want to hear you guys debate something you don't believe in, you know? And
Yeah.
I was like, I can do that, man. I can do that too. But today, I think you and I are legitimately at odds on this, Ryan.
This is a good one. I was super excited when this one came to be because it's real. Like, I 100% believe in controllers. That's pretty much all I play with. And then you, opposing side, you know, you just mouse and keyboard with your Charteris. So, yeah, it'll be a good one.
It will be. And for people that don't know, these Game Court topics are actually voted on by our listeners.
Yeah.
And so this is something that we love as well is like for our Epic tier members and above, they get to vote on what they want the Game Court debate to be. And so this topic was chosen by our listeners, which I think is fantastic. And so, you know, you asked for it. This is the debate. And I'm sure that, you know, we're going to have some clip on the internet, on social media of me being like, mouse and keyboard's great, controller sucks. And then we're going to get ripped on there, or, you know, all the hardcore PC gamers are going to come after you, Ryan, for playing all these games with controller that you shouldn't be playing, you know, like shooters and Rivals,
whatever,
and, you know, all these other games too. So, John, as judge, how you feeling, man? Do you have any questions? Do you feel like you're going to stir the pot a little bit on this one? Are you really just going to see how Ryan and I approach this, or?
Councilman, first of all, you'll address me as Your Honor.
Oh,
You'll notice, Your Honor, I always addressed you as Honor, Your Honor.
I feel perfectly positioned to weigh a measured and objective judgment on this. You guys both know me. I believe in merit. I believe in voting with your dollars. And I think that's ultimately what we are talking about here is a simple, sort of a simple merit-based judgment call here. And I think I don't want to give you guys any clues as to my thinking on the subject, but I feel pretty well positioned to be able to measure judgment on this. And I personally am going through a bit of a transition from being a lifelong console gamer to now mostly a PC gamer. So I have vast experience in one and newfound enthusiasm for the other. And so I feel perfectly balanced for this.
Your Honor, I would just like to inquire about the appeals process should this ruling not go my way.
The appeals process involves lots of pizza and cookies delivered directly to my house, preferably by a singing telegram.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
That is yourself.
All right, well, let's get to it, Ryan. It's time for me to eviscerate you in this debate, buddy. I guess we'll just start with opening statements. Ryan, you're the underdog in this situation, so do you want to go first?
I would gladly like to go first. Okay. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the court, when it comes to comfort, accessibility, and immersive gameplay, controllers have the upper hand.
Are you reading something?
No, this is all right off the cuff, for sure.
No, I see you reading. You said you weren't prepared. Well, Your Honor, I object. This is... Counsel said he was unprepared and was going to wing
objection.
it. Denied, Councilman. You have the opportunity right now, as opposing counsel is reading, to use your chat GPT to create your opening statement.
You bamboozled me, Ryan.
I suggest that defending counsel takes the opportunity to do so. Proceed, Ryan.
Thank you, Your Honor. If it so pleases court, I will continue.
Reading.
As I was saying, right from my brain, no preemptive process. Okay. Controllers have the upper hand over mouse and keyboard. Designed to fit naturally in your hands, controllers offer an analog precision.
This is going really well, guys.
Hold on. Vibration feedback and intuitive button layouts that make gaming feel more fluid, especially in genres like racing, fighting, and platformers. Their wireless freedom and ergonomic design reduces strain, allowing for longer, more enjoyable play sessions. Simply put, controllers deliver a smoother, more console-like experience than many gamers prefer across a wide range of titles. I can't read Jusky's making about. That's all I have to say, Your Honor, right now. That's my opening statement.
That was a pitifully weak opening statement.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor, for being aware of this man's.
Sorry, my opposing counsel was giggling through the whole thing.
I was giggling because you number one lied to me and said you were going to wing this, and then you used AI to write your statement.
Lawyer, hello.
Allow me to show you how it's done, counsel. Your Honor, I am here to make the argument for mouse and keyboard as the superior input devices for all of your gaming needs. Are there rare instances where a controller is a better option? Yes, that does exist. I will not deny the efficacy of a controller for certain games. I myself am a huge fan of Rocket League. I would never attempt to play Rocket League on a mouse and keyboard. In fact, amongst the Rocket League community, those people are considered crazy. Does a controller have its place in gaming? It absolutely does. Is it the superior device? Absolutely not. Your Honor, I would like to just go back in time for when Atari came out and controllers, joysticks had one button, but things evolved, Your Honor. And then they started having two buttons. And then the Nintendo came out and it had 4 buttons. And then the PlayStation came out and it had 6 buttons, Your Honor. And we can see the natural evolution in the input devices that we use that say, hey, as we have gotten more options for input, things have gotten better. Games have gotten more complicated, complex, and immersive. A mouse is the perfect input device to pair with a keyboard because it allows you freedom in every direction, and it allows you to focus on both movement and abilities, as well as input controls and timing. A mouse and keyboard is vastly superior in many games, amongst which at the forefront are first-person shooters. It is a proven fact amongst gamers that you aim better with a mouse and keyboard than you do with a controller. I'll get into evidence later. Number one, Ryan's kill death count in Marvel Rivals. He plays with a controller and it's terrible. So, I will use evidence and logic to prove my case to not only yourself, but to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury as to why mouse and keyboard
That's me
are
also.
the far
Objection,
superior.
objection, erroneous on all counts.
On what grounds, Councilman?
I play for the team. My kill-death ratio has no bearing on my skill or ability within the match said time. I am purely playing to win, and I'm playing for my team.
Your Honor,
Councilman Ryan, Josh, you will abstain from making personal insults against your opposing counsel.
That's fair, Your Honor. That's fair, Your Honor. I would just like to address his point that if he was truly a team player, he would play with the device that would allow him to be a better player. So.
Declined. I don't know what the
Denied, baby. Yeah.
You see, Ryan, that's how an
quiet.
opening
I
statement is
object.
done. All off the top of the noggin.
Yeah,
buddy.
you notice how I didn't interrupt you with little giggling
couldn't
like I'm a
help it.
12-year-old
You were
girl?
reading. You were reading.
Guys.
I was trying.
They were equally anemic opening
Yeah.
arguments.
You suck too, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Councilman Ryan, since you had your opening statement first, I will have you start with the floor, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The first thing I want to bring to everyone's attention is ergonomics and comfort. When you think of gaming, you think of a good, fun, relaxing time. You think of something that is enjoyable, not strenuous, not something you have to sit at a chair for a long period of time, sit arched up with your hands up above, waist level. You want to have fun. You want to enjoy yourself. And controllers offer that at every level, from beginner to end. There's a reason these games started with controller. There's a reason Josh said it started with one button and it had advanced. We have very, very sophisticated controllers currently that can handle every input and every aspect of any game currently out today. And they are just beyond more comfortable than mouse and keyboard, and that is a proven fact.
So is your defense that they're just more comfortable?
That's
Because
one of my many
I
defenses,
thought we were talking
sir.
about which device
Councilman
is
Josh,
the superior.
One moment. Ryan, are you conceding the floor at this point? Does that...
That is all, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilman Josh, your rebuttal, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Ryan, your argument that a controller is more
Councilman
comfortable-
Ryan to you, sir.
Councilman Ryan.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I would like you guys to refer to me as Grand Emperor Josh from now on, if that's okay. So,
Your Honor, objection,
Josh,
grandstanding.
Josh, if you grandstand anymore, I will hold you in contempt of court.
I hold myself in contempt.
Yeah.
Why should you be any different?
Look, if we're arguing the case of comfort for a controller, like fine, yeah, you can hold it in your hands. You know what
That's
else I
one,
can hold
Your
in my
Honor.
hand?
That's one.
A mouse. I can hold a mouse in one hand. Guys, look at this. It fits perfectly. It actually curves to the palm of my hand. It fits so perfectly that all the buttons are accessible. It's amazing how something else besides a controller can be comfortable. But you brought up the buttons. Let's just dive into that a little bit, Ryan, because how many buttons can you fit on a controller before it's not comfortable anymore? You can't. They're at the limit. They're adding triggers and bumpers and face buttons now. How many more buttons can you fit before you go, guys, this isn't tenable anymore because it can't work in this form factor? You know what has 100 buttons? A keyboard. You know why? Because it works. They're all right there. Now, before you make the point, I would like to head off something because you're going to make the point that you can't walk slowly or drive well with a mouse and keyboard. And games like Rocket League or any game that you might play with a controller is the best part is that you can move the little stick. You can just move it a teeny little bit and then your character just slowly walks, or you can do a small little turn or something like that. Sure, that exists on a controller. It's the only redeeming purpose of a controller is you can just go, hey, I don't want forward and back. I want slowly forward and slowly back.
Objection, hearsay.
Okay, if that's hearsay, you can't make that point
Decline.
in the future. Yeah.
Decline.
So let me introduce you to something called linear keys, guys. Have either one of you, in your honor, this is not to question your supreme intellect
It
and
sounds like
ability,
you are, but proceed.
but are either of you familiar with linear keys? and keyboards? Do you know what
No.
they do? They function like a controller stick. The amount of distance that you push the key functions just like a controller stick. So if you want to walk, you just gently press the key down a little bit, and then your character will slowly walk. If you want to sprint like you would with a controller where you just push the joystick forward, you just push the key all the way. But they have that range of motion that a controller stick has. There's nothing a controller can do that a keyboard can't do.
Councilman Josh, is this technology something that is readily available and prolific? And
absolutely. Absolutely. Linear keyboards exist. Google one right now. They're absolutely exist.
Is this a standard with keyboards?
It is newer technology over the last probably 3 or 4 years.
So no, Your Honor. So no. Just let
mean,
the record show
if
the answer is no.
Also, AI has emerged in the last 3 or 4 years, Ryan, and you use that to write your opening
Councilman
statement.
Josh, let me ask you this for precedent. Do you have a keyboard with this technology?
I do not have a linear keyboard. I do not need a linear
Let the
keyboard.
record show that this is not a widely adopted technology and is not readily available currently.
It is readily available.
It is not widely available and used. And I will warn you, I will caution you against talking over me. Councilman Josh. This is your last warning.
Fair, Your Honor, fair.
This is your last warning before your next warning.
Your Honor, please ignore my typing while I go to Amazon and just type in linear keyboard to show how many of these are available. Ryan, I cede the floor back to you, buddy.
Okay. Well, that was absolutely something that I was going to approach, was the ability within controllers to have delicate processes through games. That is a standard. That is something that every controller has the ability to do. It is something that a controller that comes with your device, your sold bread and butter, this is what you play games on. That device comes with that ability standard. It is not an upgrade. It is not something that you have to go out of your way to approach or search or find. It is what you have. So we'll move on from that and just concede. Everybody can agree that controllers are better in that aspect. So moving along, I'm going to go to vibration feedback. What do you get? One of the greatest things in games is having that immersion, feeling like you're a part of the game. What about a keyboard and a mouse gives you that response that a controller gives you? The haptic feedback, the rumble, the immersion that a controller, the audio we talked about in PlayStation's Astro Boy. Fantastic.
Your Honor, objection.
Bot,
the council doesn't even know the games that he's referencing at this point.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. There's a lot to choose from with good responses with controllers, so I'm just going to go with Astrobot for now. So the sound ability, the haptic feedback, everything that a controller offers you within this game, standard. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to download anything. A controller offers you everything that it does. Mouse and keyboard does not. I concede the floor.
So because it buzzes in your hands, you're saying it's better.
That's for you to defend, sir.
Okay. Well, there are mice that actually do have haptic feedback, but one of the reasons that
do you have one?
Popular. No, I don't have one.
Okay.
But Your Honor, I was making a point until I was so rudely interrupted here. Okay.
Councilman
do you know
Ryan,
the reason?
Consider this your first formal warning.
Yeah. Ha! Formal warning, sucker.
Yeah. Drop your chalkboard. There's going to be more.
So here's the issue. There are mice that have haptic feedback to them. They do exist. You can Google it right now. They're out there. Do you know why they're not common? Because they actually are a detriment to the skill level of the people that are using them. You don't want a mouse that is buzzing in your hand while you're trying to pop that nasty headshot on the enemy. You think you can 360 no scope on a controller? No, you can't do that. The precision that a mouse offers is vastly superior to what a controller has, no matter what settings you play with. Ryan, I'd like to ask you something. Why does aim assist exist in the gaming world?
Do I have to answer that, Your Honor?
That's a valid question.
Aim assist is around because, simply put, aiming on headshots are just a little bit easier with the mouse.
Why do you think that is?
Why do I think it's easier to aim with a mouse?
Why is it easier to aim with a mouse? If the controller is superior, why do you need aim assist to make it easier for people to aim with a controller?
A controller as a whole is far superior. If you want to cherry pick certain aspects, you're welcome to do so. It is by far easier to aim on a mouse than the controller.
Okay, so you do concede that a mouse is the superior input device.
I've made my point known.
Okay. So I just clarifying, but you want to concede that the mouse is the superior.
You can clarify what you want. I've made my point known.
So, Councilman, I'd like you to approach the bench, please. I have a couple of clarifying questions here. So, get really close to the camera, guys. There we go. Want people to see your nose.
Oh, no.
Councilman Josh.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've made points surrounding the fact that the keyboard and mouse are more, how you'd say, versatile devices.
Versatile, yes, Your Honor.
Partially because of the button count and the different modes of input that a user can use. What would you say to the counter argument that too much complexity can inhibit the experience of a gamer?
I think that's a fair point, Your Honor. I'll use a game for reference, Star Citizen. I think that Star Citizen is an incredible game, but it is incredibly complex and difficult. It is a game that you absolutely could not play on a controller with the number of keybinds that exist. Is there a learning curve? Absolutely. Is it a problem that's innate with the game itself being complicated? Absolutely. But could you play Star Citizen on a controller? Absolutely not. It would not work. There are too many keybinds, and by nature, a controller is limited on the number of buttons that it can actually have on the controller. And that is one of my arguments, is that it is limited by the form factor itself. The very thing that people say they enjoy about it is a limiting factor to it at the same time. A keyboard, simply put, offers way more options than a controller does.
Councilman Ryan, do you have a counterpoint to that?
I would just like to say that many options are not always great options. Just because there's more does not always equal better. Having the ability to use your L button as some crazy attachment has no bearing on your ability to enjoy the game. I believe that with the controller, you have the core of everything you need right in your hands. You don't have to shift. You don't have to dictate. You don't have to move everything. It is all right there. It is all consistent. It is usually always very close to the same. And it allows new players into the gaming world and in the gaming space to become gamers themselves.
Thank you. And now, Councilman Ryan, I have a question for you that I would like to then ask Councilman Josh for a counterpoint on. So, Councilman Ryan, one of the core messages that you have put forth in this court is that you believe the ergonomics of the controller are superior to the keyboard and mouse. And, I must confess a bias as somebody who has grown up largely playing controller-based games. Now switching to keyboard and mouse, it does feel a little counterintuitive. But objectively, I must recognize that there are far more keyboard and mouse users in the world just generally than there are controller users. And we're not just talking about video games. We're talking about people who work at desks for a living and use keyboards and mouses for 8 to 10 hours a day. You must concede that the ergonomics are at least workable and solvent for the vast majority of the population. What further evidence can you provide or argument can you provide for the superiority of ergonomics of a controller in the gaming space?
That's a great question, Your Honor. In the gaming space, as far as it goes, you talk about the workspace and people who type, who data input, all of those things, they're not gaming. There's far more people using a keyboard doing those things. But what do you hear about, Your Honor? You hear about carpal tunnel. You hear about mouse pads and keyboard pads. There's all these different ways to alleviate the stress and strain on using a keyboard and mouse for everyday use. this is not even gaming. This is just standard, no sweats, no stress, no strenuous workload. It's just standard data entry. These things happen regularly. They're constant. I personally have been affected by this within my family. But I will say, you're not there for this or that. This is games, and games are played on controllers. Keyboards are for data entry, for using a computer, for web surfing, whatever you want to do. But games are played with controllers.
Councilman Josh, counterpoint.
Your Honor, I will address that counterpoint, Your Honor, but I would like to clarify a statement that I made earlier, just for the accuracy of my argument and the record.
Proceed.
Your Honor, I called the keyboards linear keyboards, and that is actually the wrong term. They are analog keyboards, Your Honor. So the analog keyboards are the ones where, depending on how much you press the key down, is the activation like a stick on a controller. Here's the point that I would
Councilman Josh, one point to that. So you made the argument that there are features that are available, although not widely adopted, in the keyboard and mouse space to emulate the haptic feedback of a controller. Are you, Councilman Ryan, aware of any peripheral add-on devices that would supplement the diversity, basically add a keyboard functionality to a typical controller?
I believe there was, I don't know if PlayStation had one, Sony, but Xbox had a keypad that would plug into the bottom of your controller if you wanted to type. But other than that, it is not something that's needed. You can use your thumbstick and your analog joystick, to set up your any typing that needs to be done within the game.
Understood. Councilman Ryan, please proceed with your counterpoint to the argument about the controllers.
It's you meant me, Your Honor. So
Yeah,
here is my point.
Wait, I won't apologize in my court. Don't correct me.
I just saw Ryan's face where he was like, I don't know what I was talking about, and I don't know what to say.
I'd like to point out, Your Honor, that I never corrected you. Just that's all.
So
Sustained.
Here's the point that I would like to make. Over the years, we have seen controllers attempt to evolve. And have they? Absolutely. From the days of the original NES controller with 2 buttons in its rectangular shape, through the years, we've gotten the GameCube controller, the N64, and we're at the best controller that's ever been made. The PS5 DualShock controller is hands down the best controller that's ever been made. But how did we get there? We're at the limit. So what we're doing is we're adding gimmicky things to the controller, like a speaker that is inside the controller. You know what? Most gamers wear headphones. What do you need a speaker in the controller for if you have good headphones for good audio? The controller vibrates. Cool, man. Is this really the extent of the technology that we have to improve controllers at this point? Is we make them rattle in your hands because, hey, that's neat and that's cool? Keyboards and mice have evolved so much more throughout the years. From the old ball, the ball that used to be in the mouse that would get all gummed up and you'd have to take it out and wash it. Now mice use optical sensors. There's not controllers that are using optical sensors. We have mice that can connect to your game and have various profiles depending on the game. You can set the sensitivity in the mouse itself. Optical sensors, number of buttons on the mouse, how fluid they are. They even have mice now where when you pick them up off of the mouse pad, they still track the mouse pad so that you don't lose your aim if your mouse is off of there. I mean, the technology has advanced so much more. That's just a mouse. If we get to the keyboard side, the one thing that keyboards lagged behind on was not having like a controller stick on the keyboard itself. Now we have the analog switches. What you can't do on your controller is turn your volume up and down on your system. You know what you can't do? You can't navigate the internet. And I know that, yes, there are some games that are better with a controller. And I will not argue that fact that by nature those games exist. But the same point can be made for other games with mouse and keyboard. You are not playing Civilization with a controller. It's absolutely not going to happen. Any strategy-based game like StarCraft or a real-time strategy game, you're not playing with the controller. It just simply doesn't work. Just like playing a racing game with a keyboard, probably not your best option. So that argument goes both ways.
Thank you, counsel. So you guys have given me a lot to deliberate on. I would like to take a short recess and an ad break and resume with our closing statements, please. We'll be right back. All rise. Court is now resumed.
Ryan, quit flashing your chest.
Exactly.
Trying to sway the judge.
Right. Councilman Ryan, there will be no overachieving in this court. Councilman Ryan, closing statement, if you please.
Ladies and gentlemen, Your Honor, we've seen the facts. Controllers, they're not just tools. They're extensions of the player's intent. Designed for comfort and precision. Josh is laughing again.
You're trying so hard. You're trying
Bro,
so hard to make it look like you're not reading.
Don't let him
But
mess you
you're
up.
still
This is really
reading.
good.
You're still reading. I see it.
They offer analog movement, pressure-sensitive inputs, and immersive feedback that mouse and keyboard simply cannot replicate. Controllers excel in genres that dominate the industry: racing, sports, platformers, action-adventure games, and provide consistent, intuitive experience without the steep learning curve. While mouse and keyboard may have advantages in specific cases, controllers offer a more universal, accessible, and immersive way to play. The case is clear. For more games and most games, the controller is the superior choice. That is all, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman Ryan. Councilman Josh?
Your
you have
Honor,
the floor.
this proves why AI is not ready, Your Honor, because the arguments that AI just made for Councilman Ryan are clearly not even accurate. These features do exist on mouse and keyboard. Are they prevalent in a mouse and keyboard? No, but they do exist. If somebody wants an analog keyboard, they absolutely exist. The whole case today is which is the superior option. Is it mouse and keyboard or is it controller? And quite clearly, in this case, mouse and keyboard is superior. Professional gamers do not use controllers because they're professionals and they understand what good equipment and the highest caliber of equipment does to a professional. You look at the evolution of controllers versus the evolution of mouse and keyboard, and the technology has come way further in mouse and keyboard than it has with controller. Councilman Ryan claimed that you can do anything with a controller, and that's simply not true. You cannot surf the internet with a controller. You cannot play certain games with a controller. So the argument that racing games and sports games are what win it for a controller are moot arguments, because those same examples can be used for why a mouse and keyboard are superior in other aspects. The question at hand is, what is the superior device? What is the superior way to play games? And while I do not question the comfort of a controller, this case is not which one's more comfortable. The case is which one is superior. And in almost every aspect, mouse and keyboard wins. The reason that aim assist exists in games is because you... Ryan's holding up signs trying to sway the judge here. The reason aim assist exists is because controllers are proven to be inferior. And that alone is all that needs to be said. Games account for the fact that controllers are inferior input devices and adjust their games accordingly. And if developers know this and gamers know this, Your Honor, I would hope that you know this as well.
Counsels, you have both provided very compelling evidence here today. People of the court, I would like to acknowledge some items here with regards to this case. I believe that in a fair economy, that there would be room for both of these to exist. I believe that there is merit in either device and that there is a history showing that merit either of either device. What this ultimately comes down to is a matter of preference and a matter of utility. My preference would always be controller. However, I must concede that on a non-biased, utility-based purpose, There are things that the keyboard and mouse can do that will simply be out of practical grasp for controllers to ever perform. And so the judgment of this court is in favor of keyboard and mouse.
What?
Your
No.
Honor.
That is garbage. No, no,
That's a
I will
wise
not accept
decision.
this ruling for. Yeah.
Throw your controller, Ryan. Throw your controller.
No, I was gonna throw this because look at this. See this thing? This
That
is
thing's
what
amazing.
This is what keyboard users have to get to try to be like. See that?
No, you
See
know what that is?
That's
an
what they have
evolved
to
keyboard.
use.
No,
That-
that's an evolved keyboard. You
Yeah.
proved my point right there.
No.
The keyboards
Councilman
continue
Ryan,
to
that
evolve.
is one of the coolest looking things I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you're making Josh's point.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
that's what they have to do to try
No,
to be like controllers.
That's the evolution. What's
this
your
is-
controller?
This is
Evolution.
not
I'm
about
playing.
utility. This is about playing video games.
Yeah.
With
You're right.
respect, your honor.
Look, trust me. As somebody who has grown up with video games, it is so counter. This feels immersive to me.
Yes.
Having everything right here, simple and streamlined, feels immersive to me. But just because it feels that way to me does not mean that this cannot feel the same way to somebody else. When I weigh things on an objective measure based on their merits, this has utility that the other simply does not.
Let me know when
you
the
just showed
consoles.
the number pad, like putting numbers in as a utility.
Let
You
me
can't do
let
that
me
on a
know when
controller.
the. You're not talking about utility. You're talking about video games.
We're talking about all.
I'm talking about utility within video games.
I'll tell you what,
couldn't play
okay, you know
Typing
what?
of the Dead on a controller.
It is what it is. When consoles start using keyboards and mice, then you know what? It is. I lost.
I got one more point. Have you ever had to search for a movie with your TV remote? Like
Oh,
to type in
Or
where you have to
putting in your password.
Yeah,
That sucks.
exactly. You know
Yeah.
what you can do with a mouse and keyboard? Password in. Look at this. I'm watching a movie while you're still scrolling numbers and
so
letters.
we should
man.
all play video games with mouse and keyboard so that
Councilman
you can
Ryan,
play your.
Councilman Ryan,
All right.
I want to
All right.
say this is that sometimes as a representative of this court, I have to make decisions. I have to levy judgments that I don't personally agree with. I prefer controller. I will probably always prefer controller, partially because I'm a dummy and it's the easier to use device. But I have to concede that there is just simply functionality of a keyboard and mouse that may be out of my grasp as a person, but exists that make it a more utility-friendly device than a keyboard, than a controller. And I have to concede that. I don't like it, but I'm an objective instrument of this court, and my judgment has been made.
Well, that's true. Your judgment has been made, and in lieu of that, you are a dummy.
Fun fact, literally, my kids who grew up playing video games will not use a controller. Mouse and keyboard
That's
is what
you,
they
though.
grew up with.
That's you, though.
But I'm just saying, but when they ask Dad, can I play this game with a mouse and keyboard? And I go, it's probably better with a controller. They go, yeah, I don't want to use a controller. Like they don't, because it's the inferior device. They know this.
Dude,
I
court's
raised
over.
smart kids.
It's
Court's
not
over,
the
bro. You
inferior
can stop
device.
arguing. Court's
I'm
over.
just saying, it's true. That
It
is
what
100%
they've
true.
been grown up with. Like I played Cairn today, which was the first game in 30 years that I used a keyboard and mouse for. And like just moving forward and backwards using like the A and W, I'm like, what the heck is this? It feels very counterintuitive to me. To me, it
Yeah,
feels
but once you get
counterintuitive.
used to it, John, you'll never go back, man.
I just have to concede there are a lot of like with my keyboard and mouse, I can stop doing this, pop up Discord and say, hey, Brett. Brett's gotten a lot of shout outs these last couple episodes. Hey, Brett.
I feel like
know?
we're arguing something that I didn't prepare for.
Oh, maybe you
because-
shouldn't have
that
used
is
AI to
Court's
prepare.
fault.
No,
for
you
Ryan.
guys,
Ryan.
we discussed that this was controllers versus keyboard and mouse for video games,
It
and you
doesn't
guys
matter.
keep talking
It
about
still holds
Discord and like putting in
Yeah, we're
passwords
just
for your
using
TV.
auxiliary arguments to
Whatever.
hammer the point
No,
home
whatever.
even more.
This is
Even if you talk about it within the context of gaming, there are gaming experiences that you can have with a keyboard and mouse that you cannot have with a controller.
There is actually a professional level Rocket League player that plays with a mouse and keyboard. And people think he's crazy, but he does it. It can be done. Like, you're not playing certain games with a controller.
Yeah, again, Ryan, if there's a riot, I'm gonna be in your picket line, bro. But
that's fine.
Kangaroo court.
This
This is a kangaroo court.
This case, boys.
This is a kangaroo
court. Dang, just be glad there's not a punishment tied to this one yet,
there
Ryan.
is.
Oh wait, there is?
Yes. Ryan, you have to sing Baby Shark offline.
But hey,
Offline?
that would be a good punishment example of what legendary supporters.
I'm actually
get to
lucky.
make us do.
My kids missed that by like a year or
dude.
two, so I didn't get the baby shark thing.
Yeah, my kids
That'll
did
be
too,
after
but-
the episode bonus content for Patreon.
Yeah.
There you go.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, court has ruled. I have won yet again. I think I'm two for one now. Right?
Are you? I don't think so.
Man,
No, I
Gil
lost
lost
the-
again.
Yeah,
You
I
lost
lost.
Indy versus AAA.
I won.
I
that
lost
one,
both.
and then
I'm
I
a
won this
loser,
one.
man. I'm a loser,
Oh no!
man.
Wait, no,
Oh,
no,
wait.
wait.
No, because weren't you championing?
What
were
was
you
our first?
championing-
What was our first one?
I
Indy-
was
Indy's
I was
won
the
against-
judge. John
Oh yeah,
won the
that's
first.
right. You chose against me because
Yeah.
you're biased. One.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. You know.
Anyone that doesn't pick you is biased, whatever. And then I lost to Indies, and then I also lost now. So it's just against me is what it is. Because
Yeah.
Ryan,
Triple A's and
Conspiracy.
controller losing is ridiculous. Everybody out there,
Hey,
let them know.
You
Let
know,
them know.
Ryan, maybe this is a lesson to be a little more open-minded.
I got this thing. What do you mean? I'm trying to learn
Oh,
keyboard.
man. Ryan's red, man. Y'all gotta watch. You guys gotta watch this video. Oh man. Also, he was holding up signs trying to sway the judge, which the listeners couldn't see
Ryan,
either. So
Ryan, you're still the cute one, and no one can ever take that away from you, dude.
yeah. All right, we're leaving. That's it. This episode's over, boys. This is getting weird. Hey, everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Let us know what you think is the superior option. Is it mouse and keyboard? Is it controller? Leave a comment in the comment section. Come join our Discord server. This will absolutely be a debate on the day that this episode releases. People will be talking about this and casting their votes and thoughts. And we love hearing that. We love the conversation that happens around that. So make sure you join our Discord server. There's a link in the episode description. This was a fun one, boys. And again, if you want to vote on what the Game Court topic should be, our Epic supporters can do that. You can sign up on Patreon. There's a link in our episode description. We try to make it easy for you, man. Nobody wants a hassle to help support their favorite podcast. So we do what we can to make that as easy as possible for you. That's going to do it for this episode of Game Court. Thank you, Judge John. Eat it, sucker Ryan, for another loss. And until next time, happy gaming.
This is rigged. Ah! See ya.
Doodly doodly fruitilies.